ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Your Honor. We're not.
Judge, there are, the state provided us with a list of the witnesses for today. There are several witnesses that will be testifying to events that occurred not only after the crime itself, but after Mr. Cruz left the MSD campus. We're objecting to those witnesses and that testimony based on relevance. To be admissible in a penalty phase, the state's direct evidence must relate to one of the aggravating circumstances, and that's from Hitchcock versus State 673 7 2nd 859, and that's from Florida Supreme Court 1996. Although evidence necessary to familiarize the jury with the underlying facts of the case may also be introduced, the court may not admit evidence that simply relitigates the issue of the defendant's guilt, or evidence that fails the test of balancing probative value against the danger of unfair prejudice. Judge, one of the witnesses, Carlos Regalis, I believe will be authenticating a video from the subway, which is located at the shopping center, or in the Walmart, I'm sorry, which occurred after. Another one is for the McDonald's, which occurred after, and that is Jose de la Cruz. John Wilford was a student at Marjory Stoneman Douglas who encountered Mr. Cruz at the McDonald's after the event. Michael Leonard was on this, I think was the initial arresting officer, and Kyle Green reported to the scene of the arrest. The arrest is not relevant to put the crime in context. None of the conduct afterwards is. It may become relevant in the state's rebuttal case, but in order to, it's not necessary to familiarize the jury with the underlying facts of the case because the crime had been complete, and it doesn't go to proving any aggravator. The CCP aggravator deals with conduct that occurs before and during the crime, not after the crime. So his conduct afterwards, although, as I said, it may become relevant to rebut mitigating circumstances set forth by the defense, it's not relevant at this time to put the crime in context or to prove any aggravating factor. So we're objecting to those witnesses.
Okay, State?
Your Honor, it is clear that the state can put the context of what occurred in front of the jury, including the arrest. He has still not gotten to a place of safety. He's leaving the school. Clearly, we can put the arrest into the context of the capture, the clothing that he is wearing, and the entire context of what occurred. Under that theory, then any statement that he made wouldn't be admissible because that's after the arrest too.
I was going to ask you, how would you distinguish that? I mean, certainly you agree that the statement is relevant.
Right, but those are his statements regarding his conduct. Judge, it isn't just whether it's a fact that occurred. It's got to be material to a fact at issue. And that he was arrested, that he was the perpetrator, those things are not at issue in this part of the trial. So, I mean, and in fact, I'm not even sure that his statement, it may not be relevant at this part, but either way, I mean, that's him directly talking about his participation in the crime. These are events that occurred after, and I don't think the state is going to try to say that all of these specific incidents are things that were planned or part of the planning of this crime because they couldn't have been anticipated. So they're not relevant to prove any material fact at issue or to put the crime in context. The crime had been completed.
To the contrary, the state does contend that all of his actions, now not every specific matter because he had to adjust as things came to him. So for instance, he dropped his phone. But the method of going and getting in with other students, that appeared very planned, how he ran right to where the students were. He fit in with them, and then he followed them and went with them to the subway and Walmart. And then as things were getting uncomfortable, he kept moving towards McDonald's. certainly the jury is entitled to hear how he was captured, where he was captured, and put it in its proper context. The jury should not be deciding this case in a vacuum. Those facts also go to the planning, which is CCP.
Judge, I don't know how the state can argue that beyond leaving the school, I mean, blending in with the students, I understand, but beyond leaving the school, he couldn't have planned where the students were going and how, I mean, who he would encounter and where he would go after. I mean, those are not things that were planned. Those are things that occurred, but they're not material facts at issue, and they don't prove the planning. The CCP goes to planning beforehand and conduct during. It does not address conduct after the fact.
Okay, anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to allow the state to present this testimony as part of putting the overall incident in context. Are we ready to bring in the jury?
State's ready.
Ms. Curtis, are you ready to bring in the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We will probably be making some objections as these witnesses, like with evidence or if they're testifying, and we don't need sidebars, just based on this objection.
Sure.
Your Honor, before the jury comes in, just want to put on the record that we received a waiver from the defendant for the experiences of Ms. Bashawan for today, and as well as yesterday.
Okay, great. And those are filed with the clerk?
Maybe not today's yet, but it will be.
Okay, but yesterday's was, because I didn't see it.
Yesterday was. So I guess we received today what was for yesterday. So
Okay.
we have it for the last 2 days. Your Honor.
Okay, great, thank you.
Jurors are entering.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The jurors are all present. Roll may be seated. State, call your next witness.
Benjamin Wickander.
raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. You can be seated. Please speak into the microphone and state your full name and spell your last name.
Benjamin Wikander, Wikander.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Wickander, do you go to school?
Yeah, I just graduated from Michigan.
Okay. From the University of Michigan?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. Where did you go to high school?
I went to Marjory, Stoneman, Douglas
And when did you graduate?
in 2018.
Okay, I'd like to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Specifically, I'd like you to talk about your fourth period. Do you remember where you were on the fourth period?
Yes, in AP Psychology.
Okay, and who was your teacher?
Miss Rioven.
And that was in classroom what? 1213?
Yes.
Okay, so please tell us what happened in classroom 1213 during the fourth period.
So I guess about probably like 20 minutes before class ended, I don't really remember exactly, but then a bunch of loud bangs rang out in the hallway and everyone kind of ran over to the corner of the classroom, and then I don't remember exactly how long, but eventually then shots came through the window of the door in our classroom, and yeah.
And where were you when he was firing in the window of your classroom?
I was kind of over by the desk on the side, but not behind the desk, just like kind of against the wall.
Okay, and were you wounded?
Yes.
At what point did you get shot?
I'm not sure exactly. I guess I didn't really realize what was happening completely, but I knew, like I felt like I was lifting my right arm totally up like this, but then I saw that it was just like laying on the side of me, but it completely felt like I was lifting it, and that's when like I guess I realized that something was wrong, and I called out for like someone to tie something on my arm.
Okay. Do you have any problem with your arm now?
Yes.
Okay, you're maintaining your previous objection? Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. So noted.
Go ahead, Mr. Wickander. What kind of problem you have with your arm?
My radial nerve was damaged, and it still hasn't really grown back totally. That's why I have to wear this brace.
Okay. And you've been wearing that ever since the injury?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Who were you next to when you were wounded? Do you remember?
Not exactly. I know Samantha Mayer was like behind me, and I'm pretty sure that Carmen was like next to me on the right.
Carmen Shentrum?
Yes.
How about Madeline Wilford? Did you see her?
Yes, she was closer to the desk, I believe.
Okay. And then what happened? The police eventually arrived?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how long it was, but yeah, eventually the police came in and they carried me out of the building and onto a golf cart, and then like drove me over to the intersection, and then they like tied a real tourniquet on my arm and then brought me in the ambulance.
Okay. Let me show you State's Exhibit marked 4C for identification. And can you identify who that is?
Yes, that is me.
Okay, and that's when they were carrying you out?
Yes.
Okay, does this accurately and truly depict the scene on February the 14th, 2018?
Yes.
And does it show your arm?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, I'd like to offer 4C, please.
Just objective 403 as cumulative to S5. Thank you.
And you're maintaining your previous objection?
Yes, ma'am.
Over the defense objection, State's Exhibit 4C as in Charlie for identification will be received as State's 87.
Yeah. I'm going to show you this State's Exhibit 87. Can you see that on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. And is that you being carried out?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
Carlos Rugeles.
Good morning. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You can turn your hand and be seated. And sir, if you would please scoot in and speak into the microphone, and please state your full name and then spell your last name for the record.
It's Carlos Rugeles, Rugeles.
And what is your occupation, Mr. Rugeles?
It's a manager at a Subway.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that?
About 10 years ago.
And which Subway store are you working at now?
Now it's one in Dania Beach.
In Dania Beach?
Yeah.
I'd like to call your attention to February the 14th, Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
And how were you employed on that day?
How was the what? Sorry.
How were you employed on that day? Where were you working on that day?
It was at the Walmart. It was at the Subway inside the Walmart
Okay. And where is that located?
in Coral Springs.
Okay. And where in Coral Springs? It's inside of Walmart, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where is the Walmart? Do you remember the address?
I don't remember the address.
All right. Do you know where Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School is?
Yes.
Okay. In reference to Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, where would the Walmart be?
There's Stoneman Douglas, there's an elementary school, and then there's the Walmart.
Okay. You talking about West Glades Middle School?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. And then there's the Walmart?
Yes.
What big street is near Walmart?
It's a Coral Ridge.
Coral Ridge Drive?
Yes.
Any other streets?
Is it Holmberg?
Hamburg?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's around Hamburg and Coral Ridge Drive, right?
Yes.
Okay. And up to this point, how long, to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018, how long had you worked at that Subway?
Would be 6 or 7 years.
Okay. And did they have a surveillance system? Did they have a surveillance system?
Yes.
When you were working there on Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018?
Yes.
How did the system work?
It would record the cameras by motion, I believe.
Okay. And did you operate the system?
Yeah.
All right. And you were familiar with the system?
Yes, somewhat.
Okay. There come a time where you viewed what happened on the afternoon of February the 14th, 2018.
Yes.
Okay. And have you reviewed that video?
Yes.
And does that video truly and accurately depict you and someone that you served at that Subway inside Walmart?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you State's Exhibit Mark 5W for identification. And ask you, sir, can you identify that?
Yep.
And you can does it have your initials on it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay. And you viewed this, and it's true and accurate depiction of you and the person you served
Yes, sir.
on Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to publish. First, I'd like to introduce State's Exhibit 5W.
It depends. Other than your previously stated objections, do you have any additional objections?
No, just renew that objection based on 401 Hitchcock versus State.
Okay, thank you. That's noted. Over the defense objection states 5W for identification will be received as states 88. Mr. Sachs, is this going to be published to the
Yeah,
whole
this can be
courtroom?
published to the whole court.
But should do we need to move that partition or no?
Yeah, the partition has moved.
Although,
The large screen will be on anyway.
Yeah.
Screens are on.
okay, so everybody will be able to see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you see you?
Yes.
Which one's you?
The one in the green shirt and hat.
In the hat. Okay. Do you remember what you were serving him?
He wanted an icy mixed. It was a cherry and a blue raspberry.
What were you just giving him then?
His change?
Receipt?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you now State's Exhibit marked 6L and ask you if you can identify that.
Yes, sir, this is the title receipt.
Okay, and is this a blow-up of that? I'm showing you State's Exhibit 5X, and is that an accurate blow-up of that receipt?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions of Mr. Rubiales.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Oh, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. You're excused.
Jose de la Cruz.
Good morning, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down and be seated. And please, if you would scoot up and speak to the microphone. Speak into the microphone, state your full name, and spell your last name.
Jose de la Cruz, D as in David, E-L-A-C-R-U-Z.
Good morning, Mr. De La Cruz.
Good
How are
morning.
you? How are you employed, sir?
I'm sorry?
How are you employed? What do you do for a living?
I work for McDonald's,
For McDonald's? Okay. How long have you worked for McDonald's?
33 years.
And what exactly are your duties?
I'm an area supervisor. I supervise a bunch of stores.
And so I want to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how were you working on that day?
That day I was at the office in the Coral Spring Park, corporate park, and then I got a call from the McDonald's. The officers wanted to see me.
Okay. And how many McDonald's did you supervise at that time?
6.
6. All right. So which McDonald's did you respond to?
The one on 5741 Coral Ridge Drive.
Okay. And do you know where that is with reference to Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School?
Yes, sir.
Where is it in reference? How close?
A mile and a half.
Okay. So when you went there, did you do anything for the police?
We were looking at the video surveillance.
Okay. Are you familiar with the video surveillance?
Yes, sir.
The system that was set up at 4751?
5741.
5741 Coral Ridge Drive? Okay, I want to show you State's Exhibit marked 6B, Mr. De La Cruz. Here, let me take it out for you. Ask you if you can identify that flash drive.
Yes.
Okay. And have you reviewed that flash drive?
When I did it back then, yes.
Yeah. And did it accurately depict the events that occurred on February the 14th, 2018, as it existed approximately 3:01 p.m. on that day?
Correct.
Okay. And you have downloaded that surveillance system before?
Yes.
And it's always proven to be accurate and timely and date-wise?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time I'd like to offer State's Exhibit 6B.
Just renew our objection pursuant to Rule 401 Hitchcock versus State.
Okay, your renewed objection is noted. Over the defense objection, State's Exhibit 6B for identification will be received as State's 89.
Thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this point.
Do you have any questions, defense?
No, ma'am.
Sir, you're excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Wilford. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. You can go ahead and be seated. Please speak into the microphone, state your full name, and then spell your last name for the record.
John Wilford, W-I-L-F-O-R-D.
Good morning, Mr. Wilford.
Morning.
Do you go to school?
I do.
Where do you go to school?
I'm a first year at FAU.
FAU?
Yes.
I'd like to call your attention, Mr. Wilford, to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that date?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And were you attending school at that time?
Yes.
What school were you attending?
Marjory, Stoneman, Douglas.
And what year were you in?
9th grade.
Did you have any siblings that were attending Marjory Stoneman Douglas at that time?
Yes.
Who?
My sister, Maddie.
Madeline Wilford?
Madeline Wilford, yeah.
Okay. And she was attending Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School also, right?
Yes.
Okay. So on that day, tell us what happened.
I was in my study hall class, I believe it was 4th period, sitting down, and then I remember the fire alarm going off, and we evacuated towards the west side of campus, towards the baseball fields.
Okay. And when you went there, what you were responding because of fire drill?
Correct. We were just following standard procedure, so.
Okay. So what is the standard procedure? You go out into the area?
Right. We go out to the area, we line up, they take attendance, so I didn't think much of it.
Okay. So what happened then?
I remember it wasn't long. It was like a minute or two when they took attendance, and then a police car came and told us to evacuate.
Okay. How did you evacuate?
They took us off this road towards West Glades, which took us off this dirt road, and everybody was just walking over there.
So you walked down. Would you describe the path you took when the police told you to evacuate?
It was just along the baseball fields, along like towards the side of West Glades. Most of everybody was kind of panicked and didn't know what was going on.
Okay. So when you got to West Glades, where did you go from there?
From West Glades, I then walked to Walmart with one of my friends, Alan.
So you got out to Homburg Road and
Correct, yeah.
then turned west to Walmart?
And from West Glades, I took this path towards Walmart.
Okay. So what happened when you got to Walmart?
When I got to Walmart, I was trying to get a hold of my sister. She wasn't picking up, so I tried to get a hold of my mother, and that's when I then left my friend to go meet my mother at McDonald's. That's just the point I told her to meet at.
And did you go to McDonald's?
I did.
And that was at the McDonald's on Coral Ridge Drive?
Yes.
And describe what happened. How did you get there?
I just walked from Walmart, like underneath the sawgrass, towards McDonald's, and I told my mother I was waiting inside.
Okay. And so your mom was going to, what was she going to do?
She was going to come drive and pick me up.
So did you get McDonald's?
Yes, I got inside.
Okay, what happens when you get to McDonald's?
I sat down in a booth. I called her, I told her where I was, and she told me that she was on her way.
Okay. Then what happened?
And then Nick Cruz came and sat down right next to me.
All right. Did you know who he was?
No.
Ever meet him before?
Never.
Just sat down?
Just sat down next to me. I didn't think much of it because I was panicked. So I was just trying to get back home.
So what happened when he sat down?
He just sat down. I didn't think much of it. You know, he was just, I figured he was from school because of what he was wearing, but.
What was he wearing?
ROTC uniform.
Okay. So what happened then?
From then, I wasn't really, I saw him sit down, so I just was telling him, like, this is so chaotic. This is crazy. All these helicopters and SWAT cars coming, like, what do you think this could be? And I don't remember him saying much, but he was just head down, wasn't really talking to me. I don't remember much of the conversation, but I was doing most of the talking.
Okay. Did he ask you anything?
No, not until I started to leave when my mother called me and told me that she was there.
Okay. What did he ask you?
He asked me for a ride when I was starting to leave the McDonald's to meet my mother on the other side. That's when he started talking to me.
Okay. And what did you say?
He asked me for a ride. He was pretty insistent on it, and I said no. I wasn't really thinking much of it. I was just trying to get home. My sister wasn't answering her phone. I was nervous. I was panicked. I also had a bad gut feeling about it, because I'm a nice person. I would offer somebody a ride like that, but I just wasn't thinking in the moment.
Okay. And then what happened?
Then I got in the car with my mother, and I started to drive home.
Okay.
And then I remember seeing him again on, I don't know exactly what road it was, but I saw him walking.
Okay.
But then that was pretty much it.
And when your mom picked you up and drove you off, where did you and your mom go?
Back home.
Yeah, I know, but where's your home?
Wyndham Lakes.
Wyndham Lakes?
Area, yeah.
Okay. Have you seen a video from McDonald's with you?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to publish State's Exhibit
89.
89.
Defense?
So the same objection pursuant to Rule 401 in Hitchcock versus State, please.
Okay, so noted.
Tell me when you see you.
I see me.
Where are you?
I'm just sitting in the booth.
Okay. Is that you walking in?
Yes.
John, how tall were you back then?
Probably like 6'1", 6'2", maybe.
6'1"?
I don't recall. I don't remember, but
Okay. I want to show you State's Exhibit marked 6C for identification, Mr. Wilford, and ask you if you can identify that.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Does it accurately and truly depict where McDonald's was and where the school was and where Wyndham Lakes is?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, this time I'd like to offer 6C.
No objection.
Okay, without objection, State's Exhibit 6C for identification will be received as States 9090.
Put this on here. Let's see. All right, does that, let me see if I can do better than I did before. Okay, I want to point out, there's a thing that's going to come up where okay, you could pick a color and show us where McDonald's is.
It's,
Right. And how about Marjory, Stoneman, Douglas? Okay. And let's see if I get this. Wyndham Lakes.
it's this area.
Okay, and that's where you live?
Yeah.
Okay. On this map that's been introduced, can you, I know you didn't know the road that you saw him on again, but
I didn't know the exact road, but
do you know what area you saw him on this? Can you tell?
I'm pretty sure we might have like crossed through here, and then while we were driving through, then that's when I like saw him walking on the sidewalk. But it was like for a small fraction of time, so I didn't really pay attention to it.
But that's the area where you drew that arrow in the green line. That's the area you were going to go to your home, right?
Right, that I remember. Yes.
Okay. If you saw that person that sat next to you in McDonald's, would you be able to identify him if you saw him again?
Yes.
You see him in the courtroom today?
Objection, Judge Rowland.
Yes.
Would you point him out for us?
Yeah.
The person in the blue sweater?
Yep.
Madam Reporter, with court's permission, would you like to reflect that Mr. Wilford has identified the defendant, Nicholas Cruz, please? Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, I have no further questions of Mr. Wilford.
Defense, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
Officer Michael Leonard.
Good afternoon, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You can go ahead and be seated, and when you're seated, please state your full name and spell your last name, please.
Michael Leonard, Leonard.
And sir, what is your occupation?
Police officer.
And whom are you employed by?
City of Coconut Creek.
How long have you been a police officer?
21 years and 9 months.
Okay, all with Coconut Creek?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd like to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Were you working on that occasion?
Yes.
Okay, and what was your assignment at that time?
I was an administrative officer.
Okay. At Coconut Creek?
Yes.
Okay. Did you respond somewhere?
I did.
And where did you respond to?
To Marjory Stoneman Douglas.
Okay. That's not within your jurisdiction. It's in, Marjory Stoneman's in Parkland, right?
Yes.
But you responded as an assisting agency?
Yes.
Okay. So why did you go? What were you looking for?
We had received radio call that there had been a shooting at Marjory Stoneman. And it was an all call, basically all agencies, if you could help out.
Okay. And were you looking for a particular description?
Yes, I was.
What were you looking for?
I was looking for a white male with burgundy shirt, jeans, and a ball cap.
Okay. And so did you, what path did you take to look for somebody like that?
I went to the command center at first. When I arrived, I had heard that the suspect may be at the McDonald's.
Okay.
So I decided, since I knew where the McDonald's was, I started to go over to that area to look for him. About the time I was getting close to the McDonald's, that officers called out that he wasn't there. So I decided to start looking further out because time had elapsed by the time I'd gotten there. So I decided to search further out on the perimeter.
Okay.
And went into a neighborhood, residential area. And,
what residential area did you go into?
It's in Coral Springs, so I'm not real familiar with the exact neighborhood. It's right off of West Wyndham Lakes.
Okay, that was the area?
Yes.
Okay. So what did you do?
I drove the streets looking for the suspect. As I traveled down the streets, I was just going through the residential area. I seemed to be getting further and further away from all the chaos that I had just left, and I decided to start going back. And that particular roadway circles back to Coral Ridge Drive, so I decided to take that all the way around. And it's about, I don't know if it's a mile and a half or so, this residential roadway. As I traveled through it, I had my in-car camera on. I decided to shut that off because it was wasting film. And just about the time I shut it off, I came around the curve and I discovered a white male fitting the description walking down the sidewalk.
Okay, and what did you do?
I pulled my police vehicle over, exited my vehicle and drew my weapon, closed the door, and as I did, he turned around and looked at me, and I began to yell commands at him.
And what happened then?
He followed all my instructions. I obviously wanted to see his hands and make sure he wasn't armed. I got him proned out on the ground. I asked him what his name was, and he told me Nicholas Cruz.
Okay. And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Objection, overruled.
I do.
Would you be good enough to point him out for us?
See over there with glasses and a mask on. With a
Blue sweater?
Blue sweater.
Okay. Madam Reporter, with the court's permission, would you please let the record reflect that Officer Leonard has identified the defendant, Nicholas Cruz. Let me show you the state's exhibit. It's been introduced in evidence, Officer Leonard. State's exhibit 90. Can you see that on your screen?
I do.
Okay. Does that help? Could you show us what path you took? Does that help you? Do you recognize that, or is it too foreign?
No, it does help.
Well, take your time. It's okay.
Okay. I left the Walmart parking.
You can use this telestrator to just pick a color.
Oh, okay. The McDonald's is located right about here. So I had already left the command center, and I drove this direction. It's not picking up. It's not letting me use my finger. Oh, there we go. I drove this direction, I passed the McDonald's. I turned and went down this direction here on Wyndham. I don't see the road, but I came back this way, decided to U-turn, and I drove this path. Is there any way to move the map up? I think
Yeah, there you go.
it's a little off now.
Oh, I messed up.
That's okay. So as I followed this roadway around, I came across the individual, and it's hard to tell with this map at this point, the exact location.
Maybe I'll pull it up a little bit. Does that help any?
Yes. I believe it was right in this area. It's based on this map.
Okay. Let me show you State's Exhibits 6G and 6F. I'm going to ask you, do you recognize those? Well, they help you at all?
Yes, I believe I'm in the right area. Yes, that's.
Okay. So, State's Exhibit 6G, does that show the point of arrest on Wyndham Lakes Boulevard?
It does.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to offer 6G.
Is there any objection?
No, ma'am.
States Exhibit 6G for identification will be received as States 91.
Okay, is that, let me just get rid of this. Is that good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you point out where it was?
Yeah. Right in this general area.
Okay. And did there come a time where you viewed a video of the arrest?
Yes.
Okay, I want to show you State's Exhibit 6E. Do you recognize this?
I do. That's my initial.
Okay, and you initialed it, and this accurately and truly depicts the scene of the arrest and what happened?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to offer 6E.
Subject to our previous objection based on 401 Hitchcock versus State.
Okay. Over the defense objection, States Exhibit 6E for identification will be received as States 92. Is that an equipment problem, or is that what the video sounds like? That's okay. Because is the video supposed to have sound?
No.
So maybe we can just mute it?
Okay, is that you?
It's me on the right with my weapon drawn.
Okay. And I want to show you now State's Exhibits more 6I and 6H. those photographs truly and accurately depict you and the defendant at the scene of the arrest?
Yes, it does.
Both photographs?
Yes, they both do.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer State's Exhibits 6I and 6H.
Renew a previous objection based on Rule 401, Hitchcock versus State Police.
Okay, so noted. Over the defense objection, 6H for identification will be received as states 93, and 6I for identification will be received as states 94.
Okay, Officer Leonard, I'm going to show you now State's Exhibit marked 93. What does that show? Where are you?
I'm standing leaning over to the right.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 94.
That's me on the left of the defendant.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Officer Leonard. Your Honor, I have no further questions of Officer.
Defense?
Amen.
Okay, thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
Officer Kyle Green. Kyle Green. Green.
Jeff, can you use recycle?
Sure. Before I forget, I wanted to tell the lawyers something. We're thinking, we've tried to order a new system for these headphones, but it's quite the process. So they run on 2 different bases, 8 headphones on each base. What I'd like to try today is using just one base, and I'm probably not saying the right terminology, because we think that there won't be as much feedback and noise and issues if we just use the one set of 8, which would mean 2 sets for each side. But the alternative would be going back to the old way of doing sidebars, where we would have to come to the side by the clerk, in which really no more than 2 from each side would be able to fit, if not only one. So if there's no objection, we'd like to try that this afternoon and see if it works any better. So it would be that would mean 2 sets of headphones per 2 for the defense and 2 for the state. I'm happy to give you all time to relay what was said on the sidebars if you're worried about that, but that's what we're going to do for the remainder of the day and see if it works any better, because they're pretty much, I don't think they're not working about 95% of the time without some feedback. Okay. Is there anything else before we take our break?
Judge, we made reference to one of the victims being shaking Mr. Leonard's hand, apparently with another member of the victim's family that was doing it as well.
Okay, Mr. Seth said he was going to take care of that on the break, okay? Thank you. We're in recess for about 10 minutes.
Judge, take the witness back.
Or you can sit there, whatever you want. Do you want us to just stay there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure. Or you can be on recess too and go out if you want, whatever is better for you. It doesn't matter to me.
Jurors are entering.
Okay, the jurors are present. Everyone may be seated. Sir, let us swear you in. I don't think so. Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down and be seated. Please speak into the microphone and state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Kyle Green, KyleGreene.
And your occupation, sir?
I'm a police officer with the city of Coral Springs.
How long have you been a police officer?
6 years.
Okay. I'd like to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Were you on duty?
Yes.
And did you have an occasion to respond to a certain location?
Yes.
Where did you respond to?
About Coral Ridge Drive and Wyndham Lake South.
Okay. And when you arrived there, what did you do?
Officer Leonard had already stopped the defendant, and I was, I believe, the second or third officer there responding.
Okay. Let me show you now State's Exhibit. It's already evidence. State's Exhibit 94. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
All right. Are you in that photograph?
Yes, sir.
Which one? Who are you?
On the left.
On the left? Okay. And State's Exhibit 93.
The one in the middle holding his arm.
Okay. Okay. And when you arrived there, did you take certain property from the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you State's Exhibit for identification, which has previously been identified as a receipt and a copy of a receipt, and ask you if you can identify that, Officer Green.
Yes, sir. It's a receipt that was pulled off of him.
Okay. And where did you get that receipt from?
I have to refer to my report for that.
I'm sorry?
I have to look at the report for specifics where it came from.
Okay.
It'd be in the front right pocket.
Of the defendant?
Yes.
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Point him out for us.
Overruled.
He's sitting over there with the blue mask on and the blue sweater.
Okay. Madam Reporter, with the court's permission, would you please let the record reflect that Officer Green is identified the defendant, Nicholas Cruz? Okay, and is the photograph, the enlargement, is that an accurate depiction of the receipt?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time I'd like to offer states and exhibits. (5X) and (6L).
Is there any objection?
Just to renew a previously made objection pursuant to Rule 401, Hiscott versus State.
Okay, over the defense objection, 5X will be received as states 95, and 6L will be received as states 96.
And I'd like to show you states and exhibit marked 24D and 6J. We should open these below you and take a look at them. And see if you can identify them.
Yes, sir. This is it's a hat and a pair of glasses.
And where did you get them?
They were off of his person. He was wearing them.
Of the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. And showing you state's exhibit. It's been introduced in evidence. 93. Can you see the hat in that photograph?
Yes, it's by Officer Leonard's feet.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to offer state's exhibits. Uh, 34D and 6J.
6 or 26?
6J.
Okay, thank you. Is there any objection?
This member just renew our objection pursuant to Rule 401, Hiscott versus State.
Okay, over the defense objection, 24D for identification will be received as 95, and 6J will be received as states, I'm sorry, correction, 24D will be received as states 97, right, 97, and states 6J for identification will be received as states 98.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And Officer Green, were you able to, did you obtain any money from the defendant? Would he have any money with him?
Yes.
How much money did he have with him?
If I go to the property receipts, it has the individual amounts.
Okay.
One of the items was $2.51. We had 6 pennies, 1 nickel, 1 dime, 3 quarters, 6 $50 bills, 1 $20 bill, 2 $5 bills, and 21 $1 bills.
Okay. Did you ever add up that, how much money that was?
I did not.
Okay. Run it by me again?
$2.51.
Okay.
6 cents.
Just the bills.
Just the bills. 6 $50 bills.
All right, so how much is that?
It's $300.
Okay.
$20.
Okay. So I get $322, right?
Yes.
So far? Right.
Plus $10.
Okay. So how much is that?
I didn't hear the first part.
All right, so it's $2.51. Let's go to $2, and then you have $300 and $20, right?
Yes, sir. $322, so $332.
Right.
and then plus $21 is $353.
Okay, all right, thank you. Let me show the state exhibit in the evidence for identification. 6J.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that the money that you took from Mr. Cruz?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, offer 6K.
Is there any objection?
This time is renew a previous objection on Rule 401, Hitchcock versus State.
Okay, over the defense objection, States Exhibit 6K for identification will be received as States 99.
And I have no further questions of Officer Green, Your Honor. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
Detective Clint Williams.
Good morning. Please remain standing to be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. You can be seated. Please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Clint Williams, Williams.
Thank you.
And your occupation, sir?
I'm employed with the Broward County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
16 years.
I'd like to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Were you on duty?
I was.
And did you have an occasion to go to the North District Hospital?
I did.
Okay. And did you take some photographs of some deceased?
I did.
Who did you take photographs of?
So there were two. There was Gina Montalvo and Chris Hickson.
I'm going to show you State's exhibit. Just hold it down, 5K. You recognize who that is?
I do.
Okay, who is that?
That's Gina Montalvo.
Okay, and State's exhibit 5H. Is that?
Chris Hickson.
Okay, and that was at the North District Hospital?
North Broward Hospital, yes, sir.
Okay, where is that located?
It's in 201 East Sample Road in the city of Deerfield, just east of I-95.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer 5H and 5K. Please, on your sidebar, please.
Sure. objection, states 5H for identification will be received as states 100, and states 5K will be received as states 101.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Detective Williams, there come a time on February the 14th, 2018, you came in contact with the defendant.
Yes.
In this case, Nicholas Cruz.
Yes.
Have you seen him in the courtroom today?
I do.
Would you be good enough to point him out for us?
Overruled.
Yes, he's seated right there wearing the blue jacket and wearing a face mask.
Okay. Madam Reporter, with the court's permission, would you please let the record reflect that Detective Williams has identified the defendant's case, Nicholas Cruz. Where did you see him?
He was in the emergency room.
Okay. And I want to show you State's exhibits. Well, do this first. The State's exhibit. Yes, you Detective Williams, can you identify what this is?
Yes, I know what this is. This is a red JROTC polo shirt that I recovered from his hospital property bag.
Okay. And State's exhibit 1. P.
Yes, these are the black denim pants that I recovered from Cruz's patient property bag at the hospital.
Okay, thank you, Detective. Your Honor, I'd like to know 6O and 6P.
Is there any objection?
Yes, ma'am, just for no objection pursuant to Rule 401 and Hitchcock versus State objection.
Okay, over the defense objection, 6O, excuse me, will be received as states 102, and states P for identification will be received as states 103.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions with Detective Williams, and we have no further witness this morning.
Okay. So, does the defense have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good day, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Sachs, does that conclude your witness presentation for today?
Yes.
Because we're only in session for a half day.
Right, that's what you had said yesterday.
Right, okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a short day for you all. I'm going to remind you, please, we're going to be on recess until tomorrow morning. We are starting an hour later, so we need you here tomorrow morning at 9:30. Remember, when you are on a recess, even an overnight recess, especially an overnight recess, you may not talk about the case or permit anyone to say anything to you or in your presence about the case. If anyone attempts to say anything to you or in your presence about this case, tell the person to stop and report the matter immediately. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you all tomorrow morning at 9:30. The jurors have been excused. We're going to reconvene tomorrow. We're going to start at 10 instead of 9. The jurors are going to be here at 9:30 to get everybody set up to start at 10. And I think that's it for today, unless I'm forgetting something that someone wants to remind me about.
At some point, and it doesn't need to be today, but we had filed a motion
sort of a motion for continuance, but a motion for some time in between, based on medical condition of one of our experts who had to withdraw. So we do need to deal with that and figure out timing so that we can have an idea. A lot of our initial witnesses are going to be coming from other places.
Okay, I have received the motion as well as the state's response, and I'm just going to rule on the pleadings.
Okay.
I'm working on them right now.
Your Honor, if I may.
Sure.
The state, based upon the reply filed by the defense, which contained additional information that was not contained in their initial motion for continuance, the state is going to file a supplement to their response.
I didn't realize there was a reply file. Was that recently?
Last week. It was Sunday night, I think.
I know there was a motion, and then I know there was a response by the state, but then there's a reply, and now the state's going to respond again.
Yes.
And when will you have that?
I'm going to work on it this weekend. We're in court all day tomorrow, and I will work on it this weekend and have it on to you on Monday morning.
Okay, so then I will hold off and wait to read everything, the reply and the response to the reply, and I'll have an order by next week, beginning of the week.
And then can we go sidebar real quick, please?
Well, the jury's not in here.
Can we go sidebar, please?
Okay.
Your Honor, so the defense had filed D-302 and D-303. I believe you filed a response to that.
I did. I filed a response to the first one, Your Honor.
Which is the 302 or 303? One was motion for judicial review?
One was for the judicial review, and that was filed, I believe, last Thursday, a week ago today. And then the defense filed another motion regarding the parameters of what could be done. For example, they want booties and masks to be worn by the jurors. We have no objection to that. They do not want the jurors to go into the classrooms. We object to that. You know, the victims were killed, victims were shot in those classrooms. So we object to any restriction on jurors being able to go inside of the classroom. So there are things to be worked out regarding that motion, but as far as asking you to go there because you might get emotional at the crime scene, which is really the basis of their motion, it's not necessary, Your Honor. It's just not necessary. That should be denied.
Okay, so this was my plan. The reason I hadn't addressed it yet, I want to get more information at the meeting today as far as the procedure and what is proposed so that I can have a better idea of the semantics and the procedure. And then I think that a lot of these issues may resolve themselves once we figure out what exactly are the state's intentions as far as the procedure and so on and so forth.
No, and I understand that, but what I wanted to bring, and first of all, we can set D302, which is a motion for judicial review of the crime scene, for another day, because that is not the sum and substance of our motion. And you've read the pleading, so we can defer on that. But 303, those are procedures for the crime scene view, and in light of the fact that that meeting that you just referenced to is imminent, I wanted to make sure that the court was familiar with what the defense was asking for.
Oh, I am. And also the chief judge had a meeting with the state attorney and the public defender together and discussed all of these things and then apprised me of what they had discussed. And so I thought we would further the discussion at the meeting, and then, but yes, I am familiar with all of the requests.
Okay, thank you.
For the meeting this afternoon, I assume the defendant is not going to be present?
We've already indicated that we'll
They
wait because it's a procedural issue.
I agree. I didn't know that he had waived it.
Yeah, you asked me before, so we're good.
And while everyone's
Right?
here, we only have until 2 o'clock for the meeting. If you all think we're going to need more than that, if everyone maybe can come at 1:15.
I don't know where the meeting is.
It's in Judge Tudor's conference room, thank you, on the 20th floor.
And he's setting up a Zoom, so we'll be able to watch that way so that the numbers in the room are minimal.
Okay. I wish I'm thinking it would just be easier if we could just do it right now. But I think there's people that are not present here that are going to be attending that maybe are not available right now.
I think Mr. Weeks wanted to attend. We can see if he's available, Judge.
Ozzy, what about from your end? Captain Tienga, I'm sorry.
If everybody's here, I can figure it out. But there are a couple people that are coming.
Well, let me make a quick phone call. Was there any sensitive information?
Yes. on my part, the media can't be there.
No, not in the meeting. I mean,
Yes, Judge, they're around.
but they weren't proposed, right?
They weren't.
calling Mr. Weeks to let him know.
Yes.
And then he wanted to make sure that Mr. Pryor also knew that we were moving it up, if he needs to be there.
I believe Mr. Pryor is aware of that, Your Honor. I'll double check that.
Do you know anything about the Zoom link for it? No. I think David was speaking to, I'm sorry, Mr. Wheeler, Did you send me the